Welcome to the podcast, Beyond Expectations, Parenting Autism. Follow Michelle Chabola's journey of raising a child with autism, the challenges, victories, and rewards. If you're a parent, caregiver, or simply someone seeking to understand autism on a personal level, you're in the right place.
All right, here we are with Beyond Expectations, and we have a guest today. We have Sean Dobson, of course, and Michelle Chabolla, and Jill Brazil is joining us from Colorado. And Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, welcome, Jill. Thank you for coming. I'm
Thank
looking
you.
very forward to hearing your story.
Yes, so Jill entered Gregory's life. We were talking about it, I believe, when he was 6, correct, Jill?
Yes.
First grade.
First
However
grade.
old you are in first grade. And I'll let Jill tell you the story from here on, her background and how it all happened.
Well, at the time that I met Gregory, I had been teaching for 9 years, and my career lasted for 21 years. And at that time, I was teaching a 1-2 loop. And a looping teacher is someone that keeps the kids for 2 years. So you change the curriculum and you change the classroom, but their teacher and the kids stay the same. And for a while in education, that was believed to be really valuable because usually when you get a new group of kids, it takes, a couple of months to get to know them and to get to know their ability. And the concept was that you could go be off and running that second year. And I was thinking about that and how it worked for Gregory, because I really believe that it worked really well. He was able to come back that second year. He knew what he was walking into. He knew the kids in the classroom. He knew me. And I looped, and then I had Michael. So after having Gregory for 2 years, then Michael followed and had him
That's
for 2
nice.
years. So that's how our friendship started. Because as you know, Michelle,
you had Michelle as a class mom for 4 years and
Yes.
lived to talk about it.
Yes,
Glorious years each year.
it really
Wow.
was a very positive thing. And a lot of the characteristics or the things that I would point out to parents of children with special needs, Michelle embodied, because it's important to come in with a really positive attitude, supporting the people, the teachers. And they were coming off of a bad year for Gregory in kindergarten, right, Michelle?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
you were pretty hesitant because
Yeah.
his experience in kindergarten wasn't great. And that happens to kids. Some years they click with the teacher and some years they don't. But it was really important for Gregory to have a good year. And the way we structured the beginning of the school year was with back to school night. And the kids would come in and meet their teacher and see where their desk was before they walked into the classroom the first day of school. And Michelle and I were remembering that we had a special hook for Gregory and showed him what hook was his and where he was going to be sitting, and all of that predictability worked really well for him. But it also works for any first grader.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking
so Jill,
about,
was your classroom special needs kids or was it integrated?
it was a regular ed first grade classroom, and he was integrated into the class. And
did he have a para with him at the time?
it always we were trying to remember that. I don't remember if the first day of school the para was in place. I bet he was.
But throughout the year, Gregory had a para in your.
Yes.
Nice.
And as a classroom teacher, I always believed that it was a big benefit to have, 1 or 2 special needs kids in your classroom, because you get another adult.
Right.
Otherwise, you're in that classroom with 25, 28 kids, and you're the only teacher. So if parents present that to the regular classroom teacher who may show hesitation, just pointing out that because my child is in your class, you get another adult, another teacher in the classroom. And that person always helps everyone. They're not focused just on the child
Right.
for whom there's help, there for. So I always consider that a really big positive thing. And the years that I had that extra help were much better. And then Michelle was always present and available and enthusiastic about helping in the classroom. And that bond, because I was thinking about this fact, human nature is that if you feel supported by someone, you work harder for that person. And in my career, some parents were very supportive and positive, others not so much. And who do you think you're going to work harder for?
Oh,
You're going to
interesting.
like the child
Yeah,
more.
because that's a fascinating position to sort of way to position it, because we've talked a lot about having to advocate for your child against some school systems that are not so helpful, not so friendly. And, we could have given, or I could have given the wrong impression that you need to go in there kind of guns a-blazing, but we really need to go in there understanding. I mean, what you're saying is you need to go in there sort of understanding that this teacher is going to be your partner in this and do everything you can to lift them up and support them, and not so
Yes,
much go in with an attitude of I have to be this sort of super over the top advocate.
that's right. That's right. And it's the same concept where you sandwich something, right? So you're sandwiching something with two positives, and then the suggestion that you have is going to go over really well, and it's going to be accepted. And that applies to a parent who is an advocate. You don't have to agree with everything, but you try to maintain a positive in most situations. And that's Michelle, because she has that attitude about life in general. And so it worked it worked really well for me to feel supported and also get energy from that
So that's
support.
that's super helpful advice for the families. So in 21 years, were there a couple of special needs kids? So when you're a first grade teacher, do you have the same kids all day, or
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so those kids? I love the idea you stick with them for 2 years. So for the whole 21 years, did you have a group of special needs kids coming in every year?
Some years I did and some years I did not. It just depends on the population within the
Right,
school.
right.
But like I said, my favorite years were the ones when I did, because you get more support, and also it's good for the other kids in the class. You can have
Yeah.
lots of conversations about the differences between people, and first and second grade is a perfect time to set that example for kids. And the other great thing, Sean, about Gregory, and I used to say, these people came from Texas, from the South, where manners are just way more pronounced. I mean, when Gregory came into first grade, he was saying please and thank you and showing his appreciation. And he was a great example for the other kids in that way. He was the role model for manners.
Oh, that's amazing. Have you so we had Gregory on, which was super fun, and he corrected me because I said something about it wasn't it great how the kids helped you, and he said I helped them too. And that's
Yes.
kind of what you're talking about, is that
Yeah,
everyone got to learn something.
that's right. And he was always excited and enthusiastic. And I do have a little story I like to tell about the looping concept, because here we went through the first grade school year. All the kids knew they were coming back into the same classroom with me as their teacher, and all their classmates were known. But of course, the whole classroom looks different because you've now switched it over to second grade curriculum.
Mhm.
And I remember Gregory sitting down in his desk, very proper, looking around, waiting for things to start happen. And he raised his hand and he said, "Miss Brazil, I like your new classroom."
The only one that noticed. You worked hard on
And that's, he not only has an enthusiasm for life, he's very complimentary, generally speaking. Or and back then in first and second grade, everybody was learning to read. Everybody was learning how to act in school. So
You would learn how to talk.
right,
Yeah.
he was learning how to talk, but he was surging forward with that skill.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
Yeah.
Being around all those other kids was awesome. But we did talk about Sean, which was pretty wild, that Jill typically would have a first grade class that would come from her kindergarten, right? Kindergarten's in the same building.
Yes.
Here, Gregory came from outer space, right? He came from a whole different school, didn't know him, didn't know us. And we were talking about why she wasn't in the IEP meeting for Gregory. We still don't know why she wasn't there, but it's really not common, which it should be, for the next teacher to be in that meeting, right?
Hold on a minute. This I'm still learning about this individual education plan
Right.
IEP thing. But you're telling me that the teacher that has to be like the one that teaches the plan is not there when the plan's made?
No. It's
Because
admin, it's OT, it's speech, it's everybody else. And I did not meet her until
This
back to
sounds like,
school night.
did you ever drive by a job on the highway where there's like one guy with a shovel and 10 people standing around supervising? That's what this sounds like.
not the most efficient, but we did learn, Michelle, and this is another good point. Because I was listening to Jane's podcast with you, and she was pointing out that it was the parents that she would encourage to invite the regular ed teacher.
Absolutely.
And so that's another thing, because we didn't know that back then.
No, we didn't do that.
And
No, we
obviously you didn't know that because you were new to the whole system.
And this
But
is so cool because this is the whole idea of Michelle's podcast, is to like make sure people don't have to have multiple years to learn the things that she learned. So you're telling me, to put it in a nutshell, you're telling me that, I think Michelle told me once before, that the parent can kind of bring whoever they want to this meeting, right? You can bring your priest, you can bring your neighbor, you can bring whomever, right?
I don't know if there's a limit, Michelle. Is there a limit to, do they say you can invite this many people or anything like that?
You can have whoever you want in there that's, an advocate for you, obviously. That has a purpose, but yeah.
But it's on the parent to invite the actual teacher that's going to administer the plan. Wow. Well,
I believe Valerie came with me during the transition, that one of the transmissions, Valerie happened to be in town during the transition.
This is our big sister who's a big deal.
She came in and everybody got to meet her. They just thought they'd met me.
She's kind of scary. She's a big deal. And so that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I'd bring my lawyer from the stories I heard.
Right.
But Jill's saying don't do that. Jill's saying like, hey, come in and be supportive and try to be a positive force, or else you're going to get institutional pushback and grind, and people will be on the defensive unnecessarily.
Right. And I never wanted Gregory where he wasn't wanted. That was for sure. And that's why I moved him. When I moved him, right? I wanted him. Jill learned real fast, and she taught first and second, that you love them first and you teach them second, right?
Aww.
And they'll do whatever you want them to do when you get that connection with them. And she got that connection with Gregory immediately. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I still have that connection. And you're right. If a child or a human being feels liked, they're going to perform for you way differently than if they feel some kind of dislike. I mean, my son Evan is ADHD, and there were some teachers that just found him annoying. And if he felt that from the teacher, then you just were guaranteed a not so good year. I mean, that matters to kids for sure.
Oh,
Interesting, because I was gonna ask you. So, how much training do teachers get to deal with kids with special needs, and is it any? I'm sure there must be some. And then, in your 21 years, what did you figure out was missing that you had to sort of learn on the job?
Well, the education that you get is you have to be in the classroom doing practicums. If you're going to be a special ed teacher, then a lot of it is focused working with special ed kids. If you're going to be a regular classroom teacher, there is some exposure, education, and experience before you get into the classroom, but not a huge amount. And it's pretty much up to the special ed team and the parents who are the child's advocate and know the child the best to give that education to the teacher, or to at least help them get to know your child.
Right.
And we were talking about that and how I don't remember meeting with Michelle before the first day of school. And I think if you have a child moving into a classroom, a good idea also is to offer or ask if you can meet with the teacher even during the summer before the school year starts, if you can get the contact information. I don't know what the policy is, but just reaching out and having some individual time if you don't know the classroom teacher. And
It's kind of fascinating. We learned recently about this letter of intent, which makes us cry every time we talk about it, because basically it's like a part of your will that describes in detail all of the things you do as a caregiver so that someone else knows where to pick up the ball. And we had an expert on it, and she talked about things like, that don't seem like a big deal, I guess, to someone that's not living it every day, but like the menu, like the food, the processes, the daily rigor of things that provide that sense of safety and security. But it just occurred to me, there's no analog to this that is handed to a teacher that says, this is my child and this is what I would hope you would know about them, and kind of how to interact with them. Like, that doesn't exist, like some sort of written description.
as separate from the IEP plan that has been written with the educators and the parents input, that before you get a child in your classroom, they'll come in and meet that team of special ed people come in and meet with the regular classroom teacher and talk about how they think the placement is your classroom is the right placement for them, and what the child is like and what the goals are. And then on a daily basis with the paraprofessional, you're communicating those things as well, because they have the detailed planner and are paying attention to each goal outside of the regular classroom setting. So you get a lot of communication about what the goals are and what reasonable expectations can be.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But a
I've
care
been
guide,
in, I've,
care guide would be great, wouldn't it,
Yeah.
Jill? The one we were talking about, that would be great to have. Just
Yes.
an
Yeah.
outline,
to get into
Really
like
like,
food and areas of sensitivity,
or
and
just things that maybe bother him that you don't know bother him or
yeah.
her, right?
That's
That might
right. Anything
set him
that
off, that you're
helps.
just like, what just happened? That would be huge.
Yes.
That would be a huge
Yeah.
help.
It's like something that would be
So,
And
super.
that's what you're writing now, right,
yep.
Michelle?
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to be
That's what
writing,
you're putting
Jill. That's
together
right.
now.
Well,
We
she has
talked
to
about
write her
that
letter of
today.
intent, but
Yes.
we're gonna have to find a therapist to help her through that whole process as well, all of us.
This is going to be awful. I can already tell. But yes, Jill, I'm supposed to be working on that. Thanks for bringing that to us.
That's
But
amazing.
it would be amazing as any teacher, any grade, to just have a little paragraph or a little outline about, he may need this or he might need that. I mean, anything can happen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
That would
And
be a
here's what I
great
do.
thing. Yeah, right. So if this
Here's what's
happens,
effective.
instead of
Yeah.
calling me, instead of making that
Right.
phone call, but
Right.
actually learning the child through this care guide that would follow him, from day one through school. That would be awesome. Or
yeah.
there
It's
wouldn't
also
be right.
it's a jump on this letter of intent in essence because every school year you're documenting these are
Right.
the areas of sensitivity. This is the area, but not just the IEP thing, but like, hey, these are the things that this person really cares about, and this is because also help how to connect with them because we all have our own special interests. We all have things we relate to differently than others. But I think that would be amazing if the parents did have the time to sit down and say, okay, if I was that teacher, what would I want to know to help me kind of navigate through this in the most effective way? So, Jill, do you have any horror stories like situations where you learned a lot in a short period of time?
With
No more stories
Gregory,
with my child, another child.
Another
right? Because
anonymous shout.
I remember hearing that Gregory had some incidents just when he got upset because someone was trying to make him do something that he didn't feel comfortable doing. But I don't remember that happening in my
Mhm.
classroom with him.
He
I,
made he
Nice.
made a
maybe
para cry one time, John.
I
Oh
did make him cry.
no no
No, he
no.
made a para cry
Oh,
one time.
Oh
yeah, just because the wrong approach was being taken.
I think
right.
so. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Like
because
what?
he was basically a cooperative, enthusiastic student. But
Yeah.
again, if he felt like somebody was upset with him,
Hmm.
then that's when you're going to get the worst reaction.
Right.
And you were
Yeah.
talking about connecting with him, Sean. He had a gentleman that knew he was into Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I don't know if you remember Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
cards,
Sure.
and he carried them around. I don't know if you remember, Jill. He carried them around in his pocket, and that's how he, got Gregory to do certain things, or they were, I mean, incentives. That you can call them briberies if you want to. They were incentives, and it worked because he would do anything for those Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I was like, "What's going on here?" And he goes, "Oh, I know what he likes. I know what
Oh.
he'll do."
And
So
you were
that's
and you
okay.
were okay
That's
with
an
that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when they have a special interest that we were talking about. You want to make sure that that's okay, right? To have those and to move on and to love things and be interested in things, not just you can't have that, you can't have that. Let them have their interests because you never know where it's gonna lead them. It could be a
Aren't
case for crystals.
right. Yeah. Aren't Jill? Aren't does the teacher have to really be on the lookout for bullying and for sort of other kids misbehaving with a child with special needs? Did you run into that?
I I mean, there were some kids in our class that were a little more challenging than others,
Mhm.
but I don't remember anyone really targeting Gregory
I mean, just
because,
across your 21 years, kind of in a bigger spectrum
oh,
of like how would you help a teacher think about like what am I supposed to be looking for and because kids are pretty clever. I'm sure it could be subtle if they like.
yes. But yes, we quickly learn the kids in our classroom and
Mhm.
come up with, and you can see to a certain extent what children are going to be challenging adults. And so those are the kids that you do watch out for. You do
Right.
watch out for, and you make sure you're paying attention to how they're treating others in the classroom. And then, of
Mhm.
course, recess and lunch are those places when they're away from the classroom teacher, are when a lot of those things take place, the bullying. And so then you're hoping for great people on the playground, and those are also paraprofessionals who keep you in tuned with what's going on, socially with the kids.
Yeah. And that did happen with Gregory on the playground because he had a certain place that he went to. And I'm thinking of every school, every grade, he had a certain place he went to at recess. And there'd always be some kid that knew that. And so they would race to that spot.
Oh no.
It
Oh
would be
no.
such a big deal. And
It's a
I'd be like,
it's,
why? Why are we doing this?
Right. And
It's
that's
like,
just a mean thing to do, right?
yes, yeah.
yeah.
So you have to just kind of look out for those things. But that's
Yeah,
with all kids, I guess, right? You just always
right.
got to look out for it. You're just more protective of him because he, first of all, we've talked about this, really didn't clue into bullying. I'm not even sure he knew that was bullying. He knew somebody was in his place, right? But they really can't take up for themselves, I feel like. They just don't know how to express themselves, and it can get out of hand. He has said a few choice bad words. Somebody, I've had teachers waiting for me on the
Oh no.
outside the school when I pulled up,
Oh
but
no.
not knowing, he didn't even know what he said, but he did
Right.
say
Yeah, he was
the wrong
upset.
thing. Yeah, because he was so upset, and they were like, we know he didn't mean it, but you might want to talk about this. You can't really say this at school. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my
And then as the
goodness.
teacher, you pair them up with the kids that they're going to, the other child is going to be
That's a
kind.
great idea for parents.
Right.
Yes, great
Yeah.
advice.
Just even when you're lining up, you're making sure that, and that's good information for a parent to give a teacher if they know that so and so is a good friend and would be helpful in the classroom, and giving that information ahead of time. Because otherwise, you figure it out. You know,
Right.
you make
Right.
sure it happens.
And helping. Yeah. And
Yeah.
be very, very adamant about helping in the classroom. I don't know if they do that a lot anymore. I think they still do. And being active in your school during the day and meeting the other students is huge.
Yes.
Even with typical kids, but especially special needs kids. They know the parents are around. They know they're being not watched, but you're there for them. And it makes a huge difference at every age. I saw it at every age.
Yes.
That,
I agree.
because
I agree.
because you
Just
yeah,
being
just
that advocate more
mhm.
than, I hate to call these, I don't know what to say, with regular ed kids. I've also lost touch with the politically correct terms because
So be careful, right? We don't want to be
yes.
Yeah, this is free space, you know.
Jill's gonna get her
We're unregulated, Jill. We're totally unregulated. Mm,
Okay. But
it is
yes,
hard.
having and going on field trips, whatever you can manage, because
Yes.
of course some parents are both working, so they have less opportunity. Jesse was always present in the classroom, but he
Mhm.
wasn't there as often as Michelle because,
Right. Because of his
and
hours.
back
Right.
in those days you hadn't started working another job.
Right. Right. And I was doing Gregory, and that was
Yeah.
all I was doing. But
Yeah.
it was fine. But I totally agree. The more hands on you can be at school, do it, because the more the teachers know you, the more the other students know you. I think your child becomes more accepted, and the more you're willing to help them learn about your child, because I got asked all the time, why does he do this? Why does he do that? And then you would explain it to him. Someone's not there 24/7 to explain to these children why your child is being pulled out. Why can't he do this with us? And and you're trying to really help explain it, because it needs to be explained to these kids. I really do. I think it's
Yes. Yes. And
hard.
by being the parent who openly talks about that to other kids, it also educates the teacher about
Yeah.
your particular child and helps them, make it a normal thing.
Right.
wouldn't it be cool to be the parent who gets the note from the teacher that their child is the one that the teacher places the special need kids next to in line because they know they have the empathy, the understanding. I mean, those kids. I hope they get their recognition. That's pretty amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It,
that would be a conversation that you have during conferences.
Right.
That's amazing.
And make
This
sure you
para
I
thing,
mention that.
th-
Yeah.
is this para thing? We've talked about it a few times, Michelle. Is this para thing, or Jill? Is this the hack for a parent? Because you get paid to be a para, right? I mean, I don't think you're going to retire on it, but you get paid something to be a para, right?
You
Yeah.
get paid a little bit.
You get paid
Right.
something.
It's really
But can you be the para to your own child? Is that allowed?
well, that's how it started for me. It was actually in Jill's classroom. I just told him, and Jill's right. In the very beginning of the very first day of school, he does not have a para. That funding has to come in first for them to hire a para. So where I walked into the school, I want him in the classroom. I want him mainstreamed, whatever it takes. I will come up here until you find somebody, that you can hire, and I will do that. And so that's what I did. I did that for first grade, and then they hire somebody. That person takes over, and then they were like, "Well, what are you doing?" And then they hired me, and I worked with other kids in the school,
Oh, and you paired for other kids.
and I paired for other school and
So
and
if
other
someone
kids.
wants to be a para, are there a bunch of things you have to do to qualify, or how does it work, or is it different
Just
for every school district?
contact the school. The middle schools, high schools, everybody has them, and they're always looking for people. I
Right.
feel it, don't you, Jill? I mean,
Right. Because
it's
most often it's a parent with a child at the school who wants to have that job, because as Michelle said, it's not it's not a high paying job. So that's usually how you start out when your kids are at the school.
or some of the high school kids will, if they work a half a day or what, they'll come down to the elementary if they're looking at being a special ed teacher and they want the experience. They'll come down and help. And
Oh,
we had
so you
in
get
middle school,
you get like an internship.
right, right.
Oh,
And
that's
they get to
cool.
work. So,
Yeah.
but no, they're widely needed as far as I know. And talking to my niece, and that's currently, they're always looking for paras.
Yeah, we have
Always.
a
It's
niece
good.
that's a principal. She's a
Yeah.
principal these days, right?
Yes, she knows
Unless she
Kelly.
moves around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
And
So
the thing that I'm worried about, because now I have grandchildren and I want to be able to volunteer in their classroom. What has happened since COVID is I don't see teachers getting parents as involved in the classroom as they used to. And I don't know how to put a finger on exactly why. It's just not. I remember sending home a volunteer calendar every month and asking parents to sign up and having them sign up to read to the kids and welcoming them into the classroom. And I haven't got the feeling that since we went through COVID that that's as prevalent. I mean,
that's a shame. No.
and I hope we get back to it, because it's so valuable. So valuable. The parents get to learn what's happening in the classroom.
Yeah,
And I mean, even for seniors and people who want
right.
to be around kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
that's amazing. Because I think matching those people, those opportunities is such a cool thing. Maybe we have to work on Michelle, like trying to figure out how to do that, because for a lot of parents, they've got two jobs, they've got other kids. It's just not feasible for them to be a para.
Right.
But like you said, people that are freshly retired, people who can, we know a lot of social workers, and this seems like something that they would be interested in. So we need to do a para recruiting episode, Michelle.
Right. There you go.
and that's another way that a parent could be an advocate by, let's say you have two working parents who have limited time to get into the classroom, but they have the grandparents. And if they can bring up the idea and advocate for that with the teacher as extra help, then maybe we can get that cycle going again.
Yeah,
Because
that
we're
would be
all
great.
so fearful. I don't know of what. After
Yeah, getting that communication. Well, I mean, it's a little bit
Yeah.
foreign, right? It's like we have a joint venture with the Austin Independent School District, and it's taken us years to figure out, with everyone trying to help us figure it out, just to understand the rules and regulations about, um, how to have someone go work in the school, and it just feels intimidating because these school districts have become so big. They're huge budgets, they're large staffs, and I don't think that's anything wrong. It's just a complex organization, and it's feels like it can be inflexible, right? Just because of
Getting
the
harder
rules.
and harder to help the kids.
Well, and liability and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So So we'll have to get one of our, but we're pretty friendly with some senior people in the administrations of public schools. So maybe that's giving us an idea, Jill, to bring in more people from the education side to share more knowledge.
Yes. And
There
just
you
tap
go.
into that, those seniors that are living 40
I
years
know.
beyond their retirement, but still have lots of energy.
Absolutely. And lots of knowledge and patience.
Yes.
That's
That's
Yes.
right.
fantastic.
That's
That's
right.
awesome.
Because
That's
everybody
awesome.
benefits.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
Well,
All
this has
right.
been
Well, this has
fantastic,
been
Jill.
great. I told
Well,
you, Jill,
thank
we could go talk forever.
we could. Well,
Yes.
thank you for helping Gregory. Thank you for 21 years of teaching. That's amazing. And thank you for coming on the show. It's been fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. And I'll help you
Sure.
come up with new ideas too and new people.
Let's
Perfect.
do it.
All right.
Okay.
You're
Great.
All right.
recruited, and you're going to make exactly what I make. Less than a para. All right. I will
But
talk
right,
to you
it's
guys.
a good
soon.
cause. It's a
All
good
All right.
cause.
Thanks a lot,
Spread the
Jill.
knowledge, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Until the
Bye-bye.
next time.
That's right.